want to thank you for checking out another podcast of We Ain't Scared Talk, where we ain't scared. My name is A1, and as always, I want to thank everybody that takes the time to listen and support this podcast. I am grateful to infinity and beyond. Also, I appreciate those that have purchased their We Ain't Scared Talk mugs. Definitely sold a few of those and want to help find the other ones a home. Okay, so with that being said, you can pick yours up. There are plenty, all right? And your hot drinks deserve a good home, don't they? And you're going to be more productive. That's right, these mugs are magical. Dare I say they will give you superhuman abilities? Well, I don't know, but I think they give me superhuman abilities. I don't know, you may be able to fly, right? I believe I can fly. All right, shout out R. Kelly. So, let's go ahead and get into today's topic. I have a lot of notes. And again, I always like to give backstory, where all this came from. And this particular topic was something that was birthed out of my many years, and I'm certain a lot of other Black people's, many years of frustration by non-Black people. But more specifically, there's a portion of white America that is adamant about pointing out all the deficiencies within the Black community. They want to point a finger. And they are, as far as I'm concerned, are victim blaming Black people for racism. And we had nothing to do with it, and oppression. Black people are doing our best to overcome the circumstances and the situation that we find ourselves in. So, without further ado, here's the topic. Is it fair to blame Black people for the problems in our community? Again, is it fair to blame Black people for the problems in our community? So, my knee-jerk sort of emotions for even having to ask and answer the question. Black people did not enslave ourselves for over 400 years, okay? Black people didn't lynch ourselves during that same time period. Black people didn't redline ourselves out of housing. Black people didn't prevent ourselves from voting and cause our own civil rights struggle. Black people didn't burn ourselves out of our own communities, almost 12 of them since the early 1900s. Black Wall Street and others that we built were burned down by jealous white people who have still not paid for their crimes against humanity. That was genocide that they committed. Black people didn't choose to work for free for over 250 years and deny ourselves reparations. Again, that was hateful white folks. As I take a deep breath. Now, admittedly, there are many issues that plague the Black community. And my list, that I'm going to tell you about in a moment, includes what I think are at least my top 5. And you may have a different list after hearing it, and that's fine. But this is just a start. Again, it's my list. It's not an exhaustive list. It's just what came to my mind. So here are the top 5 things that we're going to discuss today. And I'm going to break down each one. And there was some research that was done as well and some backstory. And again, it's not exhaustive, okay? If you want to learn more, you can do more research after the podcast. Number 1 that we always hear about in our community, Black on Black crime. Number 2, mass incarceration. Number 3, police brutality. Number 4, unemployment, and this is nationally, for black people, black men in particular, is at 16%, more than double for anyone else. And then number 5, there is a crab in the barrel mentality that exists in the black community and or amongst black people. And so we're going to just dive into these, okay? So let's start with the first one, because that has been an easy go-to for America with 3Ks. When they want to shift the blame from themselves or from any accountability. Now, for the record, there's no such thing, excuse me, as black on black crime. It's just crime. Crime is about proximity. There's crime in the white communities, Asian communities, Latino communities, and so on and so forth. So to think that black people are more violent than any other ethnic group is racist and disingenuous. Black people have the hardest existence of any group in the entire world because we're the most brutalized, the most traumatized, and the most stolen from. Black on black crime, when that phrase is used, is a dog whistle to scare white folks that don't want to accept any accountability. And that relates to their history, okay? Jim Crow that they created, the slave codes, the vagrancy laws, redlining, and basically steering black people into less desirable parts of the city. In other words, where there ain't no white folks, where we have to live so that white people could live on their side of the city in peace, as they call it, with the best real estate, the best locations, all to themselves. But that's no secret. So if black people don't control the real estate, don't control the banking, don't control the home loan approval, how the hell are black people supposed to solve our own housing crisis? Poverty creates what? Desperation. And that same desperation is what causes what? Crime. So crime and desperation. This is a known fact, and non-black people choose to willfully ignore this fact so they can continue doing nothing. The lie of personal accountability hides white America's involvement in how black people got into the desperate situation to begin with. It is fake concern and fake genuineness to again avoid them having to self-examine the policies and the socially racist practices because they benefit from the turmoil and lack of unity in the black community. Black on black crime is nowhere near as bad as white on white crime because there are more white people in America with 3Ks. So by default, they are the most violent. Mass shootings, who's that done by? Shooting up a school, those are why white people. They commit the most crime, especially white collar crime, which nobody really wants to talk about. But we can go back to the Wall Street meltdown of 2008, of which not a single white man or woman was prosecuted or sent to prison. Think about that. The Wall Street meltdown cost the United States $900 billion up front to save the country. And believe it or not, the final tab was closer to $29 trillion because of greedy white men, again, on Wall Street. But ain't no white folks criticizing that shit. They want to point to black on black crime. look, let's just keep it real. And I don't pull any punches here. White men are the biggest criminals in the world, period. There's no comparison. They always have been, and in my opinion, they always will be, because they're in control of the power structure. Does absolute power, does that cause people to be corrupted? Yes, absolutely. Now, it doesn't mean, let me qualify this, that you can't do business with them, but you better damn well read the fine print, because the devil is always in the details, and they write the contracts. So if you're going to deal with them, just make sure you are aware. Now, let me also qualify this. Not that crooks aren't in every ethnic group, but let's be real. White boys have perfected it. So, exactly how are black people supposed to fix black on black crime? When first, again, it ain't a real thing. And second, poor neighborhoods will naturally breed crime because of a lack of opportunity. Poor black people don't own businesses, usually, in their neighborhood, and they can't hire themselves. So how exactly are black people supposed to solve that? All right? Now, let's move on to number 2. Mass incarceration. Man, this is another, in my opinion, no-brainer. That black people have not imprisoned ourselves. Black people are not pulling ourselves over in our cars and arresting ourselves and leaving ourselves to rot in a prison because we gave ourselves a high bail that we can't afford. That's not black people. That is the racist legal system that is attacking and using poor black people for cheap private prison labor. I heard one stat that the airlines, whether it's United or American, or that these airlines use prison labor, and they pay these people like 50 cents an hour to do the electrical wiring that is on these planes. This is a fact. Think about that. A prisoner is responsible for the electricity, the wiring on planes that millions of Americans fly in every day. Now, I know most people think that some aerospace company has a bunch of employees that do all the work. That is not true. They don't do that. They don't do all of that work. The airlines contract the work to private prisons, and that is a fact. And keep in mind, a black man is 8 times more likely to go to prison than his white counterpart. Another stat is 1 in 3 black men will go to jail in their lifetime. That's a third. 1 in 3. That's fucking insane. There's a greater likelihood that a black man will go to jail than college or receive a higher education. Another statistic that is so upsetting is that a white male high school dropout will earn more money over his professional career than a black man with a college degree. This is the purest definition of systemic and corporate racism at its worst. Not that it can be good, but it's complete bullshit. So my thoughts to black men, and I mean this, get your money, and any way you can, get your money, okay? White corporate America is engaging, and this is a fact, in wage slavery in the workplace, along with discrimination. They are pushing these wages down, or they're keeping them down. And what does this do? It keeps black men at a lower level of income and opportunities, while at the same time, black females, and I don't have a problem with this, they are getting opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. And then they're looking at black men like somehow we or not working to become more successful, which is not true. And don't be fooled by white companies that hire a bunch of black people to do the grunt work, okay? But don't hire those same black people in finance, accounting, head of sales, head of marketing, or anywhere where there is the money. Okay, as far as I'm concerned, that ain't equality. That's more workplace slavery. You want to prove, Mr. or Mrs. White Company, that you ain't racist? Hire a black man as the head of accounting. Do that, or marketing, or finance, like I said. And then let your white employee base answer to that black man. That's how you know what their mentality is, or their sincerity for equality and fairness. So again, how exactly are black people supposed to solve that within a white corporation and those hiring managers? How? How, Sway? Number 3, police brutality. Now, this is probably obvious, but let's talk about it anyway. Police across America are racist as fuck. And we have thousands of real-life stories of how police have murdered innocent, unarmed black men and women. And the law, that same law, is slow to do what? Arrest, prosecute, and incarcerate killer cops. Now, of course, let's say this, 1 or 2 out of every 10 or 15 instances, a cop will get 5 years or 10 years or 12 years. But the truth is, they'll do half of that time. They will come out of prison. They will get rehired as a cop. And they will put them back in the exact same neighborhoods that caused them to go to prison in the first place. These same cops need to start getting the death penalty. That, to me, is the only way that this foolishness will come to a stop. Now, there is a current statistic that the leading cause of death for young black men is police brutality. It's at the hands of cops. It ain't cancer, it ain't car accidents, it ain't disease or anything else. It's being murdered by cops. White racist cops. Like, seriously, what the fuck? Black men and women are not getting up in the mornings, getting in their cars, and driving around searching for cops to pull them over so that they can be murdered. That hatred and racist mentality rests squarely on the shoulders of law enforcement, the cops. They are the ones that wake up with the mentality of hunting and killing. So again, how exactly does the black community solve that problem of hateful, racist, white cops that are literally stalking black people? Number 4, unemployment. And again, as I stated earlier, the national average of unemployment for black men, 16%. 16%. Now, and I read something today that said that 45% of the young black men in Chicago are not working. They're unemployed. They're not in school. That is scary. So let me continue. This ties back to my earlier comments about how poverty breeds crime. Since poor black people don't own the white businesses or non-black businesses in their communities that refuse to hire them, because that's the key, and pay them a livable wage, because I want to dispel this myth that black men don't want to work. That is complete and utter bullshit. Black men and women have worked for free for 250 years, okay, and not been paid reparations. And working is what we do. But don't confuse our lack of employment for not wanting to be employed. Okay? We want to work. We realize that. You got to have money. So how are black people supposed to survive? $10 an hour ain't no livable wage anywhere. $15 just barely gets there, especially if you have what? A family, a car note, rent, kids, childcare, credit cards, and God forbid, you need to eat something. Or how about this? You want electricity in your home, air, heat. Wage discrimination is a real issue in America, and it's getting worse. And greed and racism is the culprit. I'm going to keep screaming that because it is. Black people are the hardest working people in the world. We built this bitch. We built America with our blood and bodies. And ungrateful non-black people want to act like they somehow came to America and built the current economy. No, partner. No. When their ancestors came here, voluntarily, I might add, through Ellis Island, black slaves had already been here for over 250 years building that business infrastructure so they could enjoy it and just walk into it already prefab and made. Now, I also want to dispel the myth that black people are lazy because I don't care who you are, the images, that image is still out here. Okay, we want to work, as I said earlier. Black people are the most prideful, meaning we love working for what we have. And we're the most creative at making money when we're blocked or prevented from earning a living, still in this racist-ass corporate America. Racism is the bane of every black person's life, whether you want to admit it or not, and it affects us daily, whether we see it or not. Microaggressions, this is really, really important because these damn microaggressions, I deal with it constantly, and it's nonstop. White folks want to tiptoe around. They want to move. They want to position. They want to pivot. They want to ignore. They want to isolate. They want to pretend like, oh, they want to smile in your face, laugh around you, and at the same time, they're planning how to block you, prevent you, stop you. That's the part that irritates me. Don't joke with me. Don't joke with me. Don't laugh with me. Don't talk to me because I already see through the bullshit. I know your intentions for me are not to allow me to get to your level. So we ain't even got to fake the funk. We ain't got to pretend. That's why I'm working on my own shit so I can hire myself. They want to intimidate because they know when we get into certain areas, we do what? We take over. And white people are not the smartest person in the goddamn room. Let me be clear about that. They are not the smartest person in the fucking room. We got pyramids in Egypt that they still don't know how black great minds built, but they want the world to think that white folks came up with everything, and they did not. They stole it from black people. And the fact is, we know how to make things happen on less and with less, and then we absolutely dominate because that's our nature. It's in our DNA that we can take the scraps, right? And we can turn them into a buffet. Like, quick sidebar. It is constant images of poor Africans that have milk cartons, scraps from scrap heaps and metal, from old used electronics. And they take that and they turn them literally into a computer or a functioning apparatus, mechanical apparatus of some sort. And the world looks at it like, oh my God, it's so amazing. Imagine what our people could do with the latest of technology. But that's okay. Keep trying to frustrate, keep trying to keep us from it. We will always find a way. And when we do, then everybody is coming to us for how we did it. And that's okay, all right? That's unfortunate. That's the reality. But we'll just keep winning, okay? The Egyptians, again, they built the pyramids that have never been duplicated. Now, you and I both know if white folks can duplicate something that a black person has done and make money off of it, they will do that. But they still haven't done it because they still don't know how. All right. So now let's go back real quickly to the high unemployment in the black community. Exactly how are black people supposed to solve that crisis? When, again, we ain't in control of the hiring. Riddle me that, okay? Now, let's go on to number 5. And this is something that is very prominent. In the black community. Black people know it. Crabs in the barrel. We say that to each other. I don't care if you get a group of black people together at a cookout, you're hanging out, a barbecue, family gathering. We're always complaining about the crabs in the barrel mentality. Now, this expression references black people pulling each other down when one is about to make it out. Okay, now it's this mentality goes back to what we all know or should know, the Willie Lynch letter from slavery. So on the surface, it seems like this is a personal decision that can easily be made to avoid hating on each other. And again, on the surface, that makes sense. And I agree. We shouldn't hate on each other. We should be working to pull each other up. However, there are definite psychological components that cause black people to feel like they have to pull each other down out of fear of being left behind. Okay, now it doesn't excuse the behavior, but there are real world symptoms of desperation and fear of being stuck in a bad situation for life by ourselves. And yes, we need to encourage each other. Okay, we need to support each other. We need to lift each other up. Of course we do. But again, if you are faced with daily, constant abuse, systemically, legally, politically, this causes deep resentment. And what do people do? They attack each other. They attack whoever is the closest to them as a way of venting out that anger and desperation. And that's a real thing. Again, I'm not justifying it. I just like to understand where this mentality comes from. Now, of course, I pray for the healing in the black community because the pain and the trauma is deep and probably won't ever heal because it's white America, with 3 Ks, that caused it. And it will take that same white America, and I will keep repeating that. They have to fix this. They caused it. They need to fix it. For every action, how's the saying go? There's an equal and opposite reaction. Black people are the victims of every scenario that I have just described because we did not oppress or enslave ourselves. That was hateful white folks. So any and every condition we find ourselves in our community, I'm very clear about this. I blame hateful, racist white America because it was the poison of slavery, Jim Crow, civil rights, segregation, police brutality, and mass incarceration that were and are the seeds that were planted in the black community that have caused all of these horrific, deadly results that we see today. That is without question. That is not up for debate. There's no question there at all. So don't try it. Without white America accepting their role in this constant hell that black people have to endure, they are being intentionally obtuse and evasive to avoid any accountability or responsibility. And to be honest, I still don't know why. I don't know why the hate is there. That's where I always scratch my head. It's like, why do you hate something so much that has done nothing to you, that you have oppressed? I don't get it. And it's obvious that you fucked an entire race of people that made it possible for you, white person, to live and breathe and to thrive in this country. Yet you want to play dumb and avoid doing the right thing. And yes, I know money is at the end of it. I know money is the root of it. I get it. But the problem is we have got to fight to stop it. This is why I don't listen to any white person that attempts to talk about personal accountability. Miss me with personal accountability chastisements. Where's your personal responsibility, your personal accountability? Because as a group, you don't practice it, especially when there's money involved. You don't do it. I'm at a point in my life where I'm not choosing to live in a world where it is what it isn't. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to pretend that everybody's colorblind and they don't see that I'm a black man. Of course they see I'm a black man, and I'm going to live like that, and I'm going to be cautious, and I'm going to assume that you have my worst interest at heart first until you prove that you have my best interest. So you get no benefit of the doubt. I don't care how many smiles you give me, how many peace offerings you extend. I'm going to go by what you do, not what you say. Too many people want black people to, again, walk around and pretend that they aren't black and act like nothing is wrong. That, pay no attention to the burning house. Just get yourself a cup of ice water. There's always something that we have to overcome. But pretending, we got to stop. Okay, race and racism and oppression is a real thing. It's not a unicorn. This is real. It's like ignoring a crying baby that needs to eat. That's what they do white folks do when it comes to racism. If you want any peace, you better feed the baby. You better feed it, or you're not going to get any peace. So I'm going to be that crying baby. I'm going to cry and I'm going to scream until you do the right thing. And again, how exactly is the black community supposed to solve the crab in the barrel mentality when black people didn't put ourselves in the barrel to begin with? Riddle me that. Like I said, and at the top of the show, I'm certain, you've listened to this and you have a list of other things that you might be thinking about, and keep the conversation going. This is an endless discussion, again, 400 years in the making. But it does have a solution. It's white folks being accountable and getting off their butts and doing the right thing and stop being racist and prejudiced against black people and other non-black people being prejudiced against black people. All right? Well, I want to thank you for checking out another podcast of We Ain't Scared Talk. My name is A1, and you got some good food for thought. Listen again. Tell a friend. We ain't scared.